Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal, and we're going to listen to a section of a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing about abortion. And John Kennedy is taking some people to task. So, again, you're just going to have to listen, but there's really nothing to see except their faces and the way this woman's looking at Kennedy. She'd burn a hole through his head if she could with lasers out of her eyeballs. And let's listen.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here today. Professor Goodwin, help me understand your point of view. I think this is a yes or no question. Do you support it being legal to abort an unborn child up to the moment of birth?
Senator Kennedy, it is not a yes or no question. I support women like Ms. Zarowski.
Okay, so she's looking over at another woman. Now, we don't get the story about this woman, but I can guess. This is a woman who had some kind of complication in the third trimester of pregnancy, and her doctors, for whatever reason, told her that an abortion was the only answer. That's my guess. If anybody knows this woman's story, please let me know. But there's something you need to understand about how the abortion lobby works. I've talked before about how when the Hyde Amendment was coming down, they set things up to make sure that there would be enough women unaware of pregnancy resource centers, unaware that there was help, unaware that there were even abortion funds and sliding scale abortions. They hammered home this: your only choice will be self-induced or unsafe abortions, illegal abortions. And they hammered that home so much that Rosie Jimenez actually followed their advice, basically, and for $10 more than she would have paid for a sliding scale abortion if they had bothered to inform her they were available, she went to a midwife and had an abortion that resulted in her death. And I have zero doubt in my mind that this was deliberate on the part of the abortion lobby. They needed a dead woman. I think Savita in Ireland, his last name I can't pronounce, I'm sorry, so I'm not going to bungle it. She was in the middle of having a miscarriage when she went to the hospital. She had developed an infection, and the baby was still alive, and the doctor botched her care. And some people have theorized, and I think, given how badly botched her care was, I think they're right. She wanted to get this over with. Now, there was an infection. Even in Ireland at that time, when all abortions were illegal, she was in the middle of a miscarriage. She was having an infection. They could have induced labor. The baby would have died of extreme prematurity, but it would have been perfectly legal and within the ethics of the Catholic Church to induce labor to end that pregnancy because of that life-threatening infection. But this doctor did not even give her antibiotics. He just told her, sorry, abortion's illegal as long as the baby has a heartbeat. Suck it up and die. And she did. And that generated the corpse that the abortion people needed to overthrow the Irish abortion law and get the abortion on demand. That's what they want. These are people who use women. Doctors, when women have had unfavorable prenatal diagnoses, there have been doctors who flat out abandon the patient, say, if you don't have an abortion, I'm not going to treat you. And so the abortion lobby will take one of these women who has been told that, your baby's dying from this very painful condition. If you carry to term, your baby's going to live a short, agonizing life. We have no option, the kindest option is an abortion. And I get the sneaking suspicion they do not describe to the parents exactly how the abortion is done. And then the woman has the abortion, and then the abortion lobby drags her around and puts her in front of people and said, see, this is why we need these late abortions for fetal indications. But they're not even willing to limit the late abortions to fetal indications. They just want a human shield. And I'm guessing that this woman is a human shield. She's somebody who either was rabidly pro-abortion herself, and, you know, she was told, look, this can give us unbelievable leverage. Are you willing to do this? And she was so rabidly pro-abortion that she would sacrifice her baby to this cause. I think it's more likely that a very pro-abortion doctor told her, I'm sorry, but the only way to save your life is with an abortion. And they then use her as a human shield. The whole idea of post-viability abortions being necessary for the woman's life or health is absurd on its face. Okay, if a woman, and I know this, my best friend had to have 3 pregnancies terminated in the 3rd trimester because her life was in immediate danger. Okay, she had pregnancy complications. They needed to end that pregnancy right now. In each case, they did an emergency C-section. Live baby goes to the nursery, and she now has 3 grown children. Okay? Emergency C-section, baby's out of the mom and into the NICU within the hour, and the pregnancy's over, and you can provide the mother with whatever care you want. And this is all done inside a fully equipped hospital with plenty of equipment, plenty of trained staff, plenty of medication, blood if you need a transfusion. Everything you need is there. These late abortions are not performed in hospitals. The woman is in a motel room. She is not with medical staff. She's with her mom or her sister or her husband or her boyfriend or whoever she brought with her. She will go to the clinic, spend maybe a couple of hours there, and they'll do some injections, they'll insert some laminaria, and then they send her back to the hotel. She's not under close medical supervision. And this takes 3 to 4 days. And I have yet to have an abortion advocate explain to me why a woman whose health or life is in immediate danger is better off spending 4 days in a motel room to end the pregnancy than she is in a fully equipped hospital ending the pregnancy within the hour. They've never been able to explain that.
Women across
no,
this...
ma'am, I don't, I think it is yes or no question.
No, well,
If there were a law that's, I'm just trying to understand your perspective, and I'm not accusing you of this.
Of course not.
But, you know, people sort of talk around this issue. If there were a bill that said that a woman has an unfettered right to abort an unborn baby for any reason up to the moment of birth, would you vote yes or would you vote no?
Senator Kennedy, I refuse to be shackled by your question. What I have answered is that there are conditions that
You
occur
don't know
during
whether
pregnancy.
you would vote yes or no?
There are conditions during pregnancy that mean after 10 weeks,
No,
14 weeks,
I said
20
Notice she's talking 10 weeks, 14 weeks. He's asking 40 weeks. He's asking up until birth. And she's trying to get the conversation to early pregnancy.
weeks, 24 weeks,
You
conditions
would
such as Ms.
support-
Zarowski.
you're here
and
advocating.
I would support her life. I would
understand,
support
I would
her
too,
personhood.
But you're advocating a law.
I support her
You're
personhood.
advocating a law.
And again, the abortion advocates act as though the pro-lifers are saying that the women aren't women. And that's something, the pro-life movement is full to the gills of post-abortive women. Full to the gills. And former abortion workers. We don't think they're not people.
That says that an unborn baby can be aborted up to the moment of birth for any reason, are you not?
Let me clarify what the 14th Amendment says in the first sentence, that citizens of this United States are individuals that are born.
Okay, and this is something that abortion activists try to say. They'll take that citizens are persons born, and they put the period there. And they act as if that's the entire 14th Amendment, and that its entire purpose was to indicate that you had to be born to be a person. What the 14th Amendment does is it distinguishes between persons, which is everybody, and citizens, which is persons who are born in the United States. So it's distinguishing between people, says no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. So that right to not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process applies to all persons. And then there are special rights of citizens. That is a subgroup of people that gets additional rights that non-citizens don't get. They're very careful to just put a period at the end of that sentence when there isn't one. The 14th Amendment was not saying that you don't exist until you're born. It was saying that you have to be specifically born in the U.S. to be a citizen to get special citizenship rights, and everybody else is a person who cannot be deprived of due process, of life, liberty, or property without due process.
That is what our Constitution says.
But
Do
why
you
won't you
support our
answer my
Constitution?
question, Professor? I'm not trying to argue. I just want to understand what your position is, and I think you're afraid to say that you do support that. If you do support it, I think you, for the purpose of an intellectual discussion, you ought to just say so.
For purposes of an intellectual discussion, I'm happy to have that with you. But
Well,
that's
then,
not the tone.
could you answer my question? Do you support, please? I mean, you teach. Okay, I'm sure you've had students ask this question. Do you support making it legal to abort an unborn baby for any reason, up to the moment before birth?
And you'll notice at no point does she say, I support abortion in cases where the woman's life is in danger when we are past viability, which would still be a nonsensical reason for doing abortions. I mean, it's a nonsensical, absurd reason for doing an abortion. But she's not even hedging and saying, yeah, if there's some kind of health issue. She's refusing to say, yeah, whatever. Which means she means, yeah, whatever.
Senator, let's have that intellectual discussion that
Okay.
you want.
We could start if you'd answer my
And-
question. I can't go to my
well-
next question until you answer that question.
I want you to be able to go to your second
good.
and your
Answer
third
it for
questions. I do. But as I have explained, there are many
Yeah, she wants him to go to the second or third question because she doesn't want to answer the first one.
different conditions.
No, I said
during
unfettered
a preg-
discretion, no conditions.
No.
I'm making it easy for you.
Well, I've already shared with you, Senator, that I
I get
support
it.
women's
I don't want to use
person-
all my time. You're not going
And
to
I
answer
support
it,
Ms.
and that is
Zarowski's
your right. But
person.
I would respect you more if you just say, "Here's
I'm
my
sorry
answer."
that you don't respect
I
me
do
very
respect
much.
you, but I said I'd respect you more if you just answer my question. Doctor, tell me how to say your last name. Ms. Dr. Rubenhorst, do you support a law that would allow, for any reason, unfettered discretion, the abortion of an unborn child up until the moment of birth?
No.
You don't. Dr. Verma?
See, it was very simple.
Senator Kennedy, so I'm the one doctor in this room that does provide abortion care, and I can tell you
Notice she says abortion care. She wants to add that word care there, hoping you'll focus on the word care and not the word abortion.
that does not reflect the reality of
No,
abortion
I
care.
understand. I'm just
It
asking the
just,
question.
it simply doesn't
But do you
happen.
support?
She does not want them to know the reality of abortion care. Okay? Now, she wants to focus on the occasional, oh, this baby has harlequin ichthyosis. Well, they never actually bring up harlequin ichthyosis. Harlequin ichthyosis is, I think, the absolute worst prenatal diagnosis you can get. Google it if you have the stomach. It's absolutely horrible. That's the one situation where if it was somebody I loved, I would be forced to stand by my principles because it is something so hard to watch a person go through. But I think I don't have the right to judge that your quality of life, if you have harlequin ichthyosis, isn't worth it, and I have the right to kill you. But they're very careful not to say that most abortions later in pregnancy are done for the same reasons as abortions earlier in pregnancy, for social reasons. You can't fix social problems with medical procedures. Even if you think abortion is a medical procedure, You can't fix social problems with medical procedures. You can't fix financial problems with medical procedures. You can't fix interpersonal problems with medical procedures. You know, she's not going to be any less homeless after the abortion. Her boyfriend's not going to stop beating up on her after the abortion. Her uncle isn't going to stop abusing her after the abortion. You know, she's not going to walk out of the clinic and magically have a better job because of the abortion. You can't fix those problems with medical procedures. If you could, women wouldn't be coming back for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth abortions, would they? Because that abortion would have fixed her problems.
There are bills before Congress that will allow that to happen.
That's,
You don't support it, or are you going to be not
again,
answer my question?
as the doctor in this room who does provide abortion care, that is not how abortion care in this country works. It's a hypothetical that does a
But if
disservice
a
to our
patient came to you,
patients.
Okay, now she has to know about the Gosnell case. So she has to know that there was at least one doctor in this country who you walk in, you've got the money, he doesn't care how far advanced the pregnancy is, he's going to do it. And there doesn't have to be any reason that you even give him. You sign on dotted line, he does the abortion. I have seen plenty of abortion deaths, post-viability abortions, where there was absolutely nothing wrong with the mother or nothing wrong with the baby. And even Ron Fitzsimmons of the National Coalition of Abortion Providers admitted that the vast majority of these post-viability abortions are done for social reasons, not medical reasons. There's nothing wrong with the mother, nothing wrong with the baby. And she doesn't want to address that.
and said, I'm going to probably have a baby this week, and I've changed my mind, and I would like you, doctor, to abort the child. Would you do it?
That is not how abortion care in
But
this
if
country
a
works.
patient did, would you do it?
My job as the doctor is to look at each individual situation.
I mean,
but
Now, there is a YouTube video of a woman doing kind of a sting. She calls an abortion clinic, and she explains that she's something like 30 or 32 weeks, and her husband lost his job, and she wants an abortion. And there are a lot of questions about her health status and the baby's health status, and then the doctor agrees to do it. And I think kind of what she's saying is that she would have to sympathize with the woman. That if the woman came in with a reason where she was sympathetic, she'd do it. That if the woman came in and said, you know, my husband was so happy that we're finally having a boy after 5 girls, but I found out he was cheating on me, so I want to punish him by aborting this baby boy, she wouldn't be comfortable doing it. But if the woman came in and said, you know, I'm in this terrible situation, I just found out that one of my 5 children has cancer, and my husband was just killed in a car crash, and I am so overwhelmed. You know, she wants to have the judgment of whether she sympathizes with that woman or not. And I think that's what she's actually saying, that she would do it if the woman came up with reasons that she found sympathetic. And if she didn't, you know, she wouldn't. I think that's what we've got going here.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but I can tell neither you nor the professor will answer my question. I think you both have an opinion, and I don't understand why you won't share it. We're going to solve this problem.
I've provided care for a few years, and I've never seen that situation.
How about you, Doc? Would you?
I do not support unfettered abortion, and I would like to point out that if a woman did have a life-threatening condition in pregnancy past approximately 22 weeks, that baby can be delivered alive by induction or C-section, and we can try to save that baby. The intent of abortion is a dead baby, and that is not necessary in that situation.
I mean,
exactly. In fact, taking extra steps to kill the baby, those extra steps have extra risk. If they're doing, you know, the digoxin injection, that's an additional risk. You're putting that needle in through her abdomen into the uterus. That carries an infection risk. That carries the risk that you're going to inject this drug into her bloodstream instead of into the baby, and you're going to kill her instead of the baby. You're subjecting her to these extra risks purely to end up with a dead baby. Or you go in with surgical scissors and cut the baby's cord so that it dies of oxygen starvation first. And again, you are introducing something into the uterus with that attendant risk of infection, of puncturing the uterus, of injuring the mother. anything you do to make sure you get a dead baby is additional risk to the mother. And how you can justify that on the grounds of preserving her life or health is a mystery that's never been explained to me, because there is no legitimate answer.
I want you to all understand where I'm coming from. This is a tough issue. And it's a tough issue because there's some tough questions we've got to answer. And when you won't answer the questions, when you're invited by my Democratic friends, the majority, and you won't answer the most fundamental question, we've got a bill in front of us that will basically say a woman has the unfettered right to abort at any time for any reason up to the moment of birth. And that's a gut check issue. And I would expect you as experts to answer that truthfully, how you do it. Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman.
Senator.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. You totally rock.